Hello, everyone. I hope you have had a fantastic week and you are in good spirits. It has been a very hot and uncomfortable week, but sanity will still prevail and things will get back to what it should be eventually. So this is Frederick Cybersecurity. This is the weekly intelligence summary for the week of 23rd to 27th June 2026. This week's intelligence summary covers 15 stories from the daily business intelligence briefs published Monday to Friday, 23rd to 27th June 2026, covering threat intelligence, business analysis, and AI in security, everything medium enterprises in financial services, professional services, and healthcare need to know from this week. Subscribe at Frederick Wakoliaka 4561, website frederickcybersecurity.com, which is being revamped in the next 2 to 3 weeks. It's going to be fantastic. So, good morning, good evening. Welcome to the weekly intelligence summary from Frederick Cybersecurity. I normally do it on Friday, but Friday was busy day for me and I was tired, so I'm doing it today. Plus I have to read in the next few hours. I'm going to release the AI breach report, which I normally should have done on Friday, but it's also going to come out today. So two will come out, one now and the next few hours another. I've already done the weekend intelligence brief. The weekend newsletter is already out, so that one will come out tomorrow, the video edition of the summary of it. So as long as I've covered these two today, I'll be up to speed and up to date with what I want to do. So this week was significant. 15 stories, 5 days across threat intelligence, business analysis. So threat intelligence, Monday, 23rd June 2026. On Monday, we reported that AssetMark, a major United States financial technology platform serving wealth advisors, disclosed a data breach affecting 570,000 investor records. The breach was not the result of a sophisticated zero-day attack. It was the result of third-party vendor compromise. A supplier in AssetMark's chain that held client data on their behalf was accessed by attackers, and that access cascaded through to investor personnel. That access cascaded through to investor personal and financial records. The business impact for UK financial services firms is direct and immediate. You do not need to be AssetMark. You need to be a firm that holds investor or client financial data, and that uses suppliers who also hold that data, who also hold that data. The attack surface is not just your own perimeter. It extends to every third party with access to your client records. If you have not reviewed your vendor security posture and your breach notification obligations with your data suppliers this year, Monday's story was your signal to do it this week or as soon as you can. Business analysis. The second story on Monday covered INC ransomware, a group that has been actively targeting financial advisory firms and law firms in the United Kingdom and across Europe. What makes INC distinctive is not the encryption mechanism that is standard ransomware, What makes them notable is the double extortion model. They encrypt your data and simultaneously exfiltrate it, threatening to publish client files publicly if the ransom is not paid. For a financial advisor or a law firm, the threat of client file publication is not merely a data protection breach, it is a client relationship crisis. It is a regulatory event, and it is a reputational risk that plays out in the press, and when your that plays out in the press and with your clients before the regulator has even opened an investigation. The operational takeaway from Monday's second story is this: ransomware response planning must include a communications track, what you tell clients when and through what channel, not just a technical recovery track. If your incident response plan does not have a client communications protocol, add one before the end of this month. AI in security, White House AI cybersecurity executive order. Monday's third story was the White House AI cybersecurity executive order, which established new federal requirements for AI systems deployed in critical infrastructure in the United States. The order requires AI developers to disclose security testing results to the government, mandates red teaming of frontier models before deployment, and establishes liability frameworks for AI-enabled security failures. For UK businesses, this matters for two reasons. First, if you work with American technology vendors whose AI products are subject to this order, the security testing and disclosure requirements will flow through to how those products are documented, audited, and governed. You will be able to ask your vendors for their red team results as a contractual right in new procurement cycles. Second, this executive order signals the direction of travel for AI governance regulation globally. What the United States mandates today, UK regulators and the European Union tend to adapt in some form within 12 to 24 months. Tuesday, 24th June 2026, Threat Intelligence, WordPress Gravity SMTP plugin breach wave. On Tuesday, we covered a critical vulnerability in the Gravity SMTP plugin for WordPress, installed on over 100,000 websites. That is being actively exploited at scale. Security researchers tracked more than 17 million attack attempts in a single week targeting this flaw. The vulnerability allows an unauthenticated attacker to extract email service credentials, API keys, database connection details, and server configuration data without needing to log in. If your business runs a WordPress website, which covers a significant proportion of the small and medium enterprise market, and you use Gravity SMTP or any plugin in the Gravity ecosystem, the action required is immediate update to the patched version, review your server logs for unauthorized access attempts in the past 30 days, and check whether your email service API keys have been rotated recently. 17 million attack attempts in 1 week is not a targeted campaign. It is automated opportunistic exploitation at industrial scale. The attackers are not choosing you specifically. They are scanning every WordPress installation on the internet and attempting the exploit automatically. The protection is a patch. The cost of not patching is credential theft and potential full site compromise. Business analysis. Verizon DBIR 2026. Tuesday's business analysis story was the Verizon Data Breach Investigations Report for 2026. Verizon publishes this report annually as one of the most comprehensive data sets on the actual causes of data breaches worldwide. The 2026 edition made the finding that every board in a medium enterprise should have in front of them. Unpatched software was the single largest contributing factor to confirmed breaches in the dataset. Not phishing, not credential theft, not sophisticated nation-state attacks, unpatched software. The exploits being used in confirmed damaging data breaches are not zero-day vulnerabilities, known only to intelligence agencies. They are publicly disclosed vulnerabilities for which patches have been available in many cases for months. The Verizon report does not describe a sophisticated threat landscape. It describes an organization landscape that is failing at the basics. If your patch management cycle is longer than 30 days for critical vulnerabilities, and the Verizon data says the majority of exploited vulnerabilities are patched within that window by the organizations that do not get breached, the risk is not abstract, it is measurable. AI insecurity, shadow AI triple growth. The third story on Tuesday was the latest data on shadow AI. Artificial intelligence tools being used by employees inside organizations without the knowledge or approval of the IT or security function. The data published this week showed that shadow AI usage in the UK medium enterprises has tripled in the past 18 months. The business risk is not that employees are using AI tools. The risk is that they are using AI tools with no governance, pasting client data, financial records, legal documents, and intellectual property into free consumer AI platforms that have no data processing agreements with the organization and no obligation to protect or delete that information. The practical step is not to ban AI tools. Banning them does not stop the behavior, it just makes it invisible. The step is to establish a sanctioned AI tool policy, communicate it clearly to staff, and provide approved alternatives that meet your data protection obligations. That policy should be in place before October 2026, when the Employment Rights Act changes make staff management decisions significantly more legally complex. Wednesday, 25th June 2026. Threat intelligence, squid bleed. Wednesday brought a significant vulnerability disclosure, squid bleed, tracked as CVE 2026-47729, is a heap memory overread flow in the squid proxy server that has been present in the code base for 29 years. Squid is one of the most widely deployed proxy solutions in corporate networks globally, used to filter and route web traffic. This flow allows an attacker to extract credentials, session tokens, and authentication data from the proxy's memory without authentication. The business impact is direct. If your organization uses Squid as a web proxy, which is common in financial services and healthcare network architectures, and has not patched to this version released this week, your credentials and session data are potentially accessible to any attacker with network access. Patch immediately. This is not a theoretical risk. A proof of concept was publicly available within 48 hours of disclosure. Business analysis. Pixel Smash. Wednesday's business analysis story was Pixel Smash CVE 20268461, a critical remote code execution vulnerability in FFmpeg. FFmpeg is the open source multimedia framework used in an enormous range of enterprise software. Video conferencing platforms, media processing pipelines, and content management systems. The attack vector is a crafted media file. An attacker sends a specially constructed video or image file. When your system processes it automatically, as most media processing pipelines do, the malicious code executes on your server. No user interaction required after the file enters the processing pipeline. FFmpeg is embedded in products you may not even know contain it. Healthcare imaging platforms, financial services document processing systems, and professional services content management tools all commonly use FFmpeg as an underlying library. The question to ask your IT team this week is, which of our systems process media files automatically, and do any of them use FFmpeg? If the answer is yes, and the version is below the patched release, the exposure is active. AI in security. WhatsApp VB script manage engine RMM campaign. The third story on Wednesday was a threat campaign that combines social engineering through WhatsApp with a legitimate remote management tool as the payload delivery mechanism. Attackers are sending WhatsApp messages to business contacts, directing recipients to click a link that executes a VB script file. That script installs Manage Engine Endpoint Central, a legitimate, commercially available remote monitoring and management tool as a persistent backdoor on the target device. The sophistication of this campaign is in its use of legitimate software as the payload. Traditional security tools do not flag Manage Engine Endpoint Central as a malware because it is not malware. It is a tool that IT teams use legitimately, but when installed covertly by an attacker, it gives them persistent, authenticated remote access to the device with the same capabilities as an IT administrator. Infrastructure overlaps in this campaign link it to Chinese-linked threat actors. It is targeting corporate environments specifically. The protective measure is employee awareness. If someone you do not know sends you a WhatsApp link asking you to run a file, do not run it. Brief your team on this campaign this week. Thursday, 26 June 2026. Threat Intelligence, Cisco Unified Communications Manager. On Thursday, we reported a critical vulnerability in Cisco Unified Communications Manager, the platform that many medium enterprises use to manage their office phone systems and internal communications infrastructure. The flow CVE 2026-20230 affects the web dialer component and allows an authenticated attacker to perform a server-side request forgery, which can then be chained to escalate privileges to root level on the affected system. Root level access to your communications manager means access to call records, voicemail, internal directory data, and the ability to intercept or redirect communications. For financial services firms under FCA oversight, communications records are a regulatory asset. Compromising the system that holds them is both a security incident and a compliance event. Cisco released a patch, apply it. If you are running Unified CAM and have not applied this week's patch, the system is exposed to privilege escalation by any authenticated user, which in a corporate environment includes a significant number of potential insider threat vectors. Business analysis. Exolis Healthcare AI breach. Thursday's business analysis story was the Exolis breach. Exolis is a healthcare AI vendor providing clinical decision support tools to hospitals and healthcare providers. A breach disclosed on Thursday confirmed that 1.4 million individuals had their personal and medical data exposed. The breach occurred through a third-party supplier to Exolis, and the initial compromise took place 5 months before disclosure. 5 months. 5 months. The attacker had access to systems containing 1.4 million healthcare records for 5 months before the organization detected and disclosed the breach. For healthcare organizations, this story is a governance signal. Your AI and technology vendors hold patient data. Their security posture is your security posture. Their breach is your regulatory event. The ICO, the Information Commissioner's Office, does not distinguish between a breach at your organization and a breach at a vendor. You chose, and a breach at a vendor you chose, and appointed to process your patient data on your behalf. Review your vendor contracts, confirm breach notification timelines, and ensure your incident response plan explicitly covers third-party breaches, not just internal ones. AI in security, Microsoft Semantic Kernel RCE. The third story on Thursday was 2 critical remote code execution vulnerabilities in Microsoft Semantic Kernel AI Agent Framework, CVE 2026-255952, CVE-2026-25592 and CVE 2026-26030. Semantic kernel is the framework many enterprise development teams are using to build AI agents, automated systems that can perform tasks, access data, and interact with other systems on behalf of users. These vulnerabilities allow a single crafted prompt to execute arbitrary code on the server hosting the AI agent. No file attachment, no separate exploit payload. The agent processes the prompt and executes the malicious code as a natural consequence of doing its job. If your organization is building or deploying AI agents on the semantic kernel framework, which is common in Microsoft Azure environments, the immediate action is to upgrade the .NET SDK to version 1.71.0 or above. This is not an architectural change, it is a version update. The cost of not doing it is arbitrary code execution on your AI agent infrastructure. Friday, 27th June 2026. Yesterday. Friday's threat intelligence story was Splunk Enterprise, the security information and event management platform used by many medium enterprises to aggregate and analyze their security logs. CVE-2026-20253 is an unauthenticated file write vulnerability that has been added to the CISA non-exploited vulnerabilities catalog, meaning active exploitation in the wild has been confirmed. The particular severity of this vulnerability in cloud environments is that It is enabled by default in AWS deployments. An attacker who can reach the Splunk interface without any credentials can write files to the underlying system and establish persistent access. If Splunk is part of your security stack, verify your version immediately. If you are running an affected version, patching is not optional. CISA catalog inclusion means active exploitation is confirmed, and federal agencies in the United States are required to patch within a mandatory window. Your organization should treat it with the same urgency. Business analysis. FCA and PRA PS 26/2 operational incident reporting. Friday's business analysis story was the publication of PS 26/2, the joint policy statement from the Financial Conduct Authority and the Prudential Regulation Authority, establishing the new operational incident reporting framework for UK financial services firms. PS 26/2 sets out mandatory reporting timelines for operational incidents, including cyber incidents that affect your ability to deliver important business services to clients. The framework requires initial notification within a defined window of detecting a material incident, followed by structured updates and a final report. The definition of what constitutes a reportable incident is broader than many firms currently assume, and includes incidents at third-party suppliers that affect your service delivery even when your own systems are unaffected. For medium enterprises in financial services, the operational implication is that your incident response plan must now have a regulator notification, track that is documented, tested, and understood by your leadership team, not just your IT function. This is a board-level obligation. The FCA and PRA will expect evidence that your governance framework can produce a compliant notification within the required window. If you cannot demonstrate that today, the time to build the capability is before your next incident, not during it. AI in security. Fake AI agent skill marketplace. This is interesting. The final story of the week. Friday's AI in security covered a threat campaign targeting AI agent ecosystems. Security researchers at AIR or AIR identified the fake AI agent skill marketplace, a platform representing itself as a legitimate repository of AI agent capabilities that enterprise teams could download and integrate into their AI systems. The platform reached 26,000 corporate AI agents before it was identified and taken down. The mechanism is supply chain contamination for AI infrastructure, just as malicious packages in NPM or PI compromise developer environments. By inserting malicious code into legitimate-looking libraries, this campaign compromised AI agent deployments by inserting malicious skills capabilities that the agents then executed as part of their normal operation. The implication for any organization building or deploying AI agents is that the supply chain risk extends to the capabilities you integrate into those agents. A governance framework for AI agent deployment must include a vetting process for agent skills and capabilities with the same rigor applied to software libraries and third-party integrations. If your AI development team is downloading agent skills from public repositories without a review and approval process, that gap should be closed this week. That is the full week I've given you. 15 stories, Monday through Friday. Let me give you 3 things to carry into next week. First, patch management is not optional and it is not an IT matter. The Verizon DBIR told us plainly this week that unpatched software is the leading cause of confirmed data breaches. Squid Bleed, Pixel Smash, Cisco Unified CM, Splunk Enterprise, 4 critical patches in 1 week. If your organization does not have a patch management process that closes critical vulnerabilities within 30 days of disclosure, that process needs to be fixed before the next vulnerability drops. Second, your vendors are your attack surface. AssetMark, Exolis, and the WhatsApp RMM campaign, 3 of this week's 15 stories involved attackers gaining access through a third party rather than directly. Your data protection obligations, your regulatory obligations, and your client relationships do not change because the breach happened at a supplier. Review your vendor security posture this week. Third, AI infrastructure needs governance now. Shadow AI tripling semantic kernel RCE, fake AI skill marketplaces. 3 stories this week pointing to the same gap. Organizations are deploying AI faster than they are governing it. The security and compliance risks are deploying AI faster than they are governing it. The security and compliance risks are following directly from that gap. If your organization does not have a sanctioned AI tool policy, an AI agent vetting process, and a framework for AI-related incident response, these are not future risks, they are present ones. That is Frederick Cybersecurity's weekly intelligence summary for the week of 23rd to 27th June 2026. If this content is useful to you, subscribe to this channel at YouTube at Frederick Wakuliaka 4561. Follow the Daily Business Intelligence Brief on LinkedIn and share this video with a business owner or a senior leader who needs to be across these developments. The Weekend Intelligence Brief for 28th and 29th June 2026 is published today on LinkedIn, covering the Employment Rights Act 2025 implementation, the Bank of England June rate decision, and the EU tech sovereignty package. Strategic business intelligence for the weekend. That I will cover more about this tomorrow. So, without any further, I'll be back. I have to be back and I have to give you the AI breach report before I give you the weekend intelligence tomorrow. So, see you shortly.